Super excited to have Renee Hecker here with us. She is an empowerment life coach. We all need some empowerment. So, Renee, thanks for being here with us. I know
Yeah.
you because I know your daughter, Ivory. She is
Yeah.
an independent journalist here in Houston, Texas, where I'm based as well. And I've gotten to know her over the last year or so. And she's out there doing great work. So, our hat is off to her. And like with most kids out doing wonderful things, they come from wonderful parents. So, I really wanted to talk to you because you're out there empowering women and really giving people good sound advice. So first of all, I just want to thank you for that. Thank you for being here as well.
No, thank you. Thank you, Lauren. It's an honor to be here.
Let's dive into this concept of anxiety because I feel like I hear so many women struggling with that these days. Whether it is just from stress of motherhood and life or very difficult things they're going through. Let's kind of dive into stress. In your opinion, what is it? And what are some of the things that are contributing today to it?
Well, one thing I connect it to because I've been a mother for over 3 decades. So I first started mothering in the 1980s. My youngest is now 13. So I didn't have a cell phone and access to data and cell service till I had my last child. And I so many times have said, thank God I didn't have this with all my children because it is so distracting. It's the whole world can catch you anywhere at any time, texting you, calling for your attention constantly, let alone just the addictiveness of social media that is constantly pulling at you, wondering what's happening. Is somebody messaging me? What are these notifications about? It's sidetracking. It's sidetracking. And everything that is on your mind and mentally pulling at you is a little more stressor to you. So I think about even once I had a cell phone, I didn't have data on it. So when I left the house, it was just used as a phone. I didn't have any
Mhm.
connection to the internet and things. And it was really nice. When I was at the playground, I was with my kids. There was nobody else texting me, trying to get to me. Um, it's really important in this day and age when you have so much access to so many people and so many people access to you that you really use self control with it and learn to put it away, put it aside, and be present with your kids, not allow it to stress you, not allow it to pull at you and divide your attention up. That's one thing I think that is huge as far as for women and mothering goes. You know how children are. They're constantly, constantly pulling at your attention anyways, let
So
alone
true.
all these other people. To me, that complicated motherhood somewhat. Um,
And then you also have the element of comparison as well. When you start looking out there and
yeah.
look, everybody on social media is putting their best foot forward, right? They're they're not showing what they wake up looking like in the morning, honestly, or and so that adds, I think, to stress and anxiety too.
Yeah. And I don't think that's necessarily with the intent to make myself look a certain way. When I remember one of my friends saying, "Oh, Renee, you look so good all the time. All your pictures, you're so photogenic." And I said, generally, I don't post the bad pictures of myself. It's 1 out of 20 that actually turns out good. And I think we just want to put out what looks good and feels good. And for myself, I don't want to hang out my dirty laundry on social media. Once I've gotten through something and I've gotten the lesson and gotten on the other side, then I'll share some
Mhm.
of. And it's kind of a protective thing. I don't. If you don't want a bunch of advice and a bunch of people criticizing, critiquing you, it's best to keep your boundaries and be careful what you put out with yourself. Um, so whenever you go on social media, keep that in mind. You know that yeah, everybody's putting out the nice things that they feel good about,
Mhm.
and it makes it actually a nicer place to be than when you go there and everybody is complaining and griping
Sure,
and you
sure,
know
sure. Well,
um
we're also so I think we have to keep in mind we're so overstimulated as well. We're
yeah,
over caffeinated, over connected. It's a lot. Just
yeah,
we add on to so many things, and then it gets to the point where it feels heavy to us. And I
right.
think that contributes for a lot of people as well. Do you agree?
I agree. It's like we don't have any more like the Waltons, where you sit, after supper, everybody goes and quietly sits on the front porch and just talks about the day, or you just sit there quietly, even by yourself, and listen to the night sounds and things. There's always, it seems like, everywhere you go, again, something mentally pulling you. Even today, when I was at the gas pump, even there now, I got back in the car with my son. I said, wow, even at the gas pump now, people aren't expected to be quiet and just pump your gas. They got the screen going, telling you the word of the day and the news of the day. And so we don't allow for stillness. And really, it is in stillness that you unwind and come back. Your nervous system comes back to baseline again. You have to intentionally take out your earbuds, turn off the radio in the car, turn off your playlist, and just intentionally be quiet and be still. It's in those times too where creativity arises, where intuition and even things that are thoughts and feelings that can be triggering. And sometimes that's why we actually do keep something playing in the background, because we have a hard time being still with things that need to be coming to the surface and being dealt with.
And I think we do in this day and age. So many people have trouble with stillness yet now because it feels so foreign to us. So I hear people all the time. I've been big into meditation for a while, and I hear people when you bring up the word meditation and they go, "Oh, I could never do that." And I always jokingly say to those people, "You're the one that needs it the most." Because it is. It does calm your nervous system down. It does give your overall body a break from everything, even if it is 2 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be long. And it really is hard to, especially, I'm a thinker, an intellectual, more intellectual than a feeler. And so my thoughts can be going a lot. Um, Meditation is hard for thinkers to really still the mind. But what I found is um, you can kind of make life a meditation, meaning really be conscious of the thoughts you're thinking. And so a lot of the times I see the purpose for meditation is people don't know how to not stress about the future, worry about it, and how to not ruminate about the past. And so they have a really hard being in touch with this present moment. So meditation, the whole idea is to get those thoughts to still, whether it be even focusing on the wind, the sound of the wind, or a fan in the room, or something that shuts the thinking process off. I think that you can train your mind to be happy in the present moment, to be enjoying in the present moment. To so many times when I ride in the car, I am very intentional about just thinking about everything I love in life, all the things I'm grateful for, all the things that are going well, and just affirming to myself how life always works out for me. Everything unfolds so perfectly. And just saying those affirmations in my mind, thinking about how all the circumstances that I can think of that validate those thoughts as true makes me really feel those validations. Um, and so, whereas meditation is meant to still your mind so that you're not ruminating and worrying, um, I found that I've learned to discipline my mind, that I don't have to use the practice of meditation to get myself there. I've learned to um, think my thoughts rather than let my thoughts think me, rather than just letting my mind and brain
Choose-
run me ragged.
yeah, choosing your thoughts, because we although sometimes it may not feel that way, but we do have ultimate power over that.
We do. I think people don't know how to separate themselves from their brain and look at it and observe it and notice what I'm thinking. What if you when you a good time to do that is when you start feeling the anxiety rising, the worrying, the bad emotions, the negative emotions settling in. That's a perfect moment to stand back and be like, okay, what kind of thoughts am I allowing to run through?
Hmm. Hmm.
take hold. You have the power every single moment to choose the thoughts. And a lot of us, like you said, have not known that we actually have power to choose and to dismiss the things that aren't serving us.
Yeah, I've heard a doctor that I listen to sometimes, and he will say he's a psychiatrist out of California, and he will say, "You don't have to believe every thought that pops into your head."
Yeah,
There's a lot of truth to that because I think you can get so wrapped up in stories that you kind of start up here that may never come to fruition, aren't necessarily true, but you still kind of get that anxious feeling from them.
yeah.
I also want to talk about, and I think this is true with a lot of moms. You have 12 children, I have 5 children. I think as women, we oftentimes get to a point where we base our self worth on productivity. And
Mhm.
kind of at the end of the day, we go, oh, wait, I didn't quite get the dishes put up. I know you homeschooled your kids. I homeschool my kids 2 days a week. We didn't get all our lessons done. We didn't do that. And then you start to identify with that to the point that that becomes your self worth. And that's not your self worth.
No, no. And I know in the later years, I've made it my main goal, not so much what I do and what I accomplish as to who I am in accomplishing the things I accomplish. That my main state of being is one of love, three things: love, peace, and joy. And whatever I can get, those are my priority every day. And a lot of that has to do with what dialogue is going on in my head. But those are my main three goals. And whatever else I can get done in the day is a plus added to it. But it's so important. Our kids aren't so much affected by the things we teach with our mouth as much as they are the energy that we're living in every day. And you know, as mothers, we seem to create the atmosphere in the home. We're the heart of the home. And our children, especially between the ages of 1 and 7, are not so cognitively present as they are subconsciously and intuitively present. And they're like sponges. Their brain doesn't have like the cognitive ability to reason truth from error, but they are sponges absorbing our very energy and all the subtleties that are around them. And it's so important that we fill the home with love and peace and joy so that they can then carry on with them a regulated nervous system and a, a peaceful demeanor without anxiety. My mom and dad, I attribute a lot of my easygoing, go with the flowness to my parents. I was born to them in their 40s. So I think they had, you know, ironed out a lot of wrinkles in their own relationship and just in life in general. And growing up in a home where there was peace and calm just naturally lended for me to as an adult that way and to be able to pass that on to my kids more.
I know you've posted about when you need answers in life, go back to nature, get outside, be
Yeah.
in nature. Do you feel like that we, over the years and over the generations, have become so disconnected from nature in our everyday lives? And I know you still live out a little more in nature than we do here in Houston, Texas. But do you feel
Yeah.
like that plays into anxiety as well?
I think so. I think just like we as humans, they say that our energy field radiates 6 feet, up to 6 feet from us. So even in passing in the supermarket or whatever, we affect other people by the very energy that is emanating from us. Um, so in holding a good state of peace and love, we affect others without even a word, saying a word. We're affecting those around us that are exposed to our energy. And I think that is true of nature too. Nature, so many times in the Bible, it talks about, you know, consider the lilies of the field and nature and what it has to speak to us. And nature is always present. It's not worrying about the winds that are coming in the future, the branches that have broken off in the past. It's just existing right now and it holds that energy of presence. So when you go in nature, you pick up that and you're absorbing that. And it's so life-giving and energizing and calming. And I always encourage a lot of my clients when they are feeling stressed and a lot of anxiety going through them, go outside and especially go barefoot, because when you
Mhm.
connect to the earth and you're grounding and earthing, that's known as one of the best immune system builders. Best antioxidant for your body is earthing. Someone has said that one of the worst inventions for our health was the rubber sole because it disconnected us from the energy
Mhm.
of the earth.
Mhm.
So it's really good. It's really good just for healing in your body, but also mental clarity and calmness to just go for a stroll in nature. If you can do it barefoot, all the better.
What about when it comes to diet and exercise? I know, especially like exercise, you hear people say that's like almost like an instant anxiety boost, or I'm sorry, I guess a mood boosting, and something that keeps anxiety away and helps keep depression away, just to get out and move your body.
It is. It's pretty well known, that exercise endorphins. So I think there's been studies done, and I can't quote them exactly to you, but relating to the effects of an antidepressant side by side to the effects of exercise, and how exercise is as good, if not better, in just getting out there and making. The thing about antidepressants is your body is meant to produce all these things on its own. And when you take antidepressants, whatever you are putting into your body artificially, hormone related and things like that, your body slacks off on making it itself. So how much better, and then when people want to wean off, they go through a real slump because their body has grown lax in producing it, and it
Mhm.
has to go through a time of the
To
withdrawal.
catch back up, yeah, or
So
to
your
get
body,
back to homeostasis, yeah.
there's a ways to get your own body to produce those on its own. It takes effort, it takes intention. A lot of times it takes co-regulating and being with somebody else who holds a really good energy and space that can help you regulate your own emotions and your own biochemistry. Um, but being really intentional with your thought life, your emotions are energy and motion, and they create, like anger creates its own chemical surge. Um, Pitying yourself creates its own chemical surge, but same with joy and same with happiness. And if we can encourage the emotions that encourage that chemical rush to start running through us and balancing on ourselves out, lifting our mood, calming the anxiety and things. But exercise is a huge part of that. Keeping active, it makes you feel really purposeful with your life and intentional when you incorporate that too. Just kind of that little confidence boost that you're actually taking care of yourself and you're not just sitting on the couch eating Doritos. um,
Right.
Coffee is something that I have never gotten into. Sometimes after having one of my babies, just to give me an energy boost before I go out and do my bike riding or running, I would just take some down cold to give myself a boost. I rarely have done that, but I have done that. Otherwise, I like the taste of coffee. I like the smell, but I don't want to use something outside myself, if possible, to create energy. That's what God gave us adrenals for.
Mhm.
And when you take something like energy drinks, coffee, stimulants like that, it's kind of like whipping your adrenals to get going, get going. And eventually, you keep doing that, you start having adrenal fatigue,
Mhm.
where your adrenals say, I can't do it anymore.
Mhm.
So for me, one of the best ways to keep my energy up is to sleep. Get to bed early enough, make sure I get a good amount. I do really well in 8 hours of sleep, like they say. Nine is
Mhm.
even nicer sometimes.
Mhm.
It's hard as a mom to do that,
Sure, sure.
but if you can sneak in a nap with your babies and things. I know after I had my seventh child, I think I was tired every single day of the first year. it was that hump apparently of having
Mhm,
7, and took me a while to adjust to it and
mhm,
just getting organized enough where I was getting enough sleep again. But I think people are too chronically not sleeping and relying on coffee to get them going in the morning and keep them going throughout the day. Your body can take some of those seasons of life where there's a lot of stress because you're at a new job where you're learning something new. And that's where your adrenals can kick in and kind of help you out.
mhm.
This society has made stress to be kind of a chronic thing in their life where they don't have it just for a season and then some relax and calm to get their nervous system again to baseline for, ongoing. So you can do it with coffee, but eventually I think you pay the price.
Oh, I totally agree, and I lived on coffee. I started in college, and I did it all through my 20s and in my 30s, and then I quit. I still drink decaf. I like the taste, I like the warmth in the morning, but I drink the organic decaf now. But it got to where it did. I think it probably burned out my adrenals to some extent, and so I felt it wasn't immediate, but I felt over the last couple of years without caffeine, I feel like day to day, hour to hour, overall, I have much more energy without it, because
Yeah.
that's the goal. You don't wanna just have that little boost or kick in the morning or till lunchtime or something like that. I mean, you wanna feel sustained energy and feel good all day long. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big proponent of really when you have some health issue or you're having something where you don't feel like you're optimal or you have some sort of dis-ease in your body, you have to go back, I feel like, and look at what you're eating, drinking, all those type things because it matters.
Mhm.
Sugar is another one that
Yeah.
has a huge effect on stress and anxiety. Alcohol as well, huge.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I think traditionally people here in the United States put in their body, but when you start looking at conditions like anxiety, I think you have to really start backing off of those things that create some sort of stimulation in any sort of way.
Right. Yeah. Get away from the whole culture of coffee to get you going. Don't talk to me till I have coffee.
Right.
And in the evening, wine to calm me down and
Mhm.
wine to make me feel good in the evening when you can't so many people can't be quiet with themselves. Need something outside themselves like wine to relax them and to get them into a state where they can handle being with themselves, it seems like, and deal with their life. And a lot of people say, oh, I don't, I'm not addicted to it, I can be fine without it. But then when they try, they find that, yeah, maybe I'm a little more addicted to having this and to actually enjoying my evening without it than I think.
Mhm.
So
Let
it's
me
kind
ask let me ask you this because I think so many of us in this society are very splintered in what we're dedicating our time to. And when I was thinking about my kind of word for 2023, the first word that popped to my head was focus.
of,
Figure out the things that are most important in your life and focus on those, laser focus on those. And
yeah,
then the other distractions kind of fall away to an extent. But I think a lot of time it's those distractions that make us feel anxious, like we're being pulled. You talked about it a little bit earlier, but like we're being pulled in so many different ways. And I don't know about you, but I think sitting down and just getting a piece of paper and writing down, all right, here are my three top priorities for my life. It's your
mhm,
family, your career, your health, I mean, whatever it might be, and hyper focusing on those.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a good idea. You mean like putting them as like your goals? What you're going to mean like when you did that for the beginning of the year? What your main goals were going to be for?
Yes. Yes. So, in other words, I mean, obviously, my family was my top priority. My job, I'm starting kind of a new platform here. And then also health and wellness type stuff. I mean, taking care of my body, me feeling good means I'm more available for my family and for my career as well. And so I had to go, okay, what does that mean action wise? Right? Because that's what it all comes down to action wise. So that means me spending less time futzing with buying new shoes or being on social media or things that are taking away from my life versus enriching.
Yeah. And so maybe that's kind of an added thing that you would do throughout the year, then knowing that, you have for yourself, it sounds like three main things that you're going to focus on. Start noticing what things are pulling away from that and sidetracking it to other things. So that I think in writing them down, it makes it be more conscious in your mind of what those areas are, and when they come to pull at you, that you're like, wait a minute, wait a minute. As they say, awareness is everything. So many
Mhm.
times we are so on autopilot going through life, unaware of the things that we're supposed to be focusing on, and unaware of the things that are pulling us away from that focus. Um, so just taking the time, like you did there, to write them down makes you more aware and more conscious. So you're going through life more eyes wide open.
Do you recommend to your clients when it comes to the music they're listening to, if they're watching things on TV, the books they're reading, to really evaluate those type things as well before they jump in? Because that can occupy your time, your mind, your energy as well.
Yeah, especially if they've gotten either into a funk with depression or on a roll with anxiety that they cannot calm it down. It is so, so important. I have them sometimes create playlists specifically geared towards if they're in depression and they feel themselves wake up in the morning or in a funk during the day, a playlist that they can put on music specific to them that really lifts and elevates their spirit, because there's music is that emotionally moving tool. For somebody who's prone to anxiety, when they feel themselves start going into a whirl in their head that they can't break free of, have your playlist of music that soothes you, that calms you, that brings you back into the present moment. It can even be too, for people that tend to be depressed or have lost their joy. Do good comedies. Watch one good comedy in the evening that makes you laugh. Laughter is underrated for the medicinal value it has, not only for body, physically, but for mentally too. The lift that laughter itself can produce. Um, I'm really a big proponent for the law of attraction. And so it is always, always operating. And so the music you listen to, the lyrics, the books you read, all that, whatever is encouraging to you to hold a really good emotional state is so important, because our emotional state is creating that energy field, and that energy field is the attracting force for the law of attraction, what we are pulling in to us, attracting to us. We're such a cult assertion working for the
Yes. Yes.
that we want in our life, not realizing that this universe operates under attraction, and it's not what you consciously want and are striving for, um, that you're attracting as much as who you are and the energy that you're holding.
Well, it's just like in chemistry, my husband always says, like attracts like. And it's like that in our lives as well. I mean, so many times you can study nature, you can study the sciences, you can study physics, quantum physics, and
Mhm.
it all comes back to, because we're all in the same realm, and it all comes back to what you bring into your life and what you attract and the energy levels that you hold.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've known it and worked with it since my 30s. It was a new concept to me. I had grown up in Christianity with a lot of the verses like, "When a man soweth, that shall he also reap." But I always related that to actions. If you sow actions that are not good, you're going to reap a harvest that is not good. But I had never linked it with my thoughts and my emotions, that they are also your some of your biggest seeds that you're sowing. And a lot of us are not drawing the connections to how these things are coming into our life. We're good people. We're good people. We're not cheating people. We're not lying. We're not stealing. And yet we can be holding an emotional state of fear, of worry, and waiting for the next shoe to drop. those kind of things. And it attracts to us more things to worry about, more things to be afraid of. The shoe dropping that we've been waiting for, things like that.
Well, and how many times does it say in the Bible, do not fear, thou shalt not fear, no fear, no fear, no fear. And it's for that very reason, because
Yeah,
then when you hold that frequency of fear, you attract more things to be fearful of. And
that's
same
it.
thing with the words we speak, the things that come out of our mouth. I was
Mhm.
around someone the other day and was just overwhelmed at his negativity. And your instinct is to kind of get away. And I
Mm.
thought, this gentleman has no idea that what he's saying is very powerful and it's very significant. And that's attracting things to him or pushing people away in some cases. But so it's just important the thoughts that you think, death and life and the power of the tongue, and
Mm.
important what we're saying as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's when my husband was killed 3 years ago. It's when I really got diligent with the law of attraction, because I was left with a kind of a scary scenario of what my lot was right now. Here I'd been a homemaker for all these years, and all of a
Mhm,
sudden, um, really didn't have a plan B. And all of a sudden, I
mhm,
was the breadwinner for my family. And my husband's business was not up in a stable place yet. He had begun it again after losing it in 2008. So it wasn't really at a stable place. And I just had a lot to figure out, and no life insurance to fall back on, anything like that. And so I knew that my one way of making through it was going to be if I can really harness the law of attraction and really be diligent with it, not be sloppy. I kind of did it and was aware of it, but was not really diligent with it. So that really made me hone in on my emotional state from day to day. And I was aware that the law of attraction doesn't stop just because you lost somebody really special to you. You do have to grieve. There is a grieving that is healing, and you can feel it. You can feel when it's necessary and good, and letting the sorrows go through you. There was a moment, though, and it was probably 4 or 5 months after Nathan had died, where I'd pretty much done all the thinking I needed to think, gone through my regrets, all the missing and the releasing of him. And the thought came to my mind, Renee, if you know, if you continue this dialogue that you got going through your head and keep letting the sorrows run through you, it's no longer going to be healing you. It's going to be hurting you. And I could feel it. I knew that
mhm,
I knew that thought was true. And it was time for me, I knew, to start looking forward. I'd looked back a lot, and I needed to, in um, in dealing with the release of Nathan and just processing death in a different way that was more hopeful and that I could accept. And then I really made it a purpose. I've done the grieving. Now it's really time to focus on gratitude for what I had, and also looking ahead now, looking ahead to the future and all that life and God still have for me here.
mhm.
And didn't nail it 100% every day, but I was intent to really aim for that, and made all the difference. They say that time heals. It only heals to the extent that you work with it, and when you really do choose your thoughts and you really do choose gratitude, um, time does heal. And I remember, I don't know if it was like a month after Nathan was killed, I was standing in my bathroom and I just thought to myself, this feels so cruel. and
Sure.
and the thought came to me, Renee, would you rather have 34 years of a wonderful marriage and learn to release it? Or would you rather have never had it at all and not go through this pain? And it was a no brainer. Um,
Sure.
it was a turning point for me. I knew I had so much to be grateful for. I had something for 34 years. Some people never have in a lifetime. Um, married to my soulmate, and yeah, we went through our struggles, but we had this deep underlying love all those 34 years. And I determined to let that be my focus. And when I had self dialogue, when I ride in the car and it's quiet, I'm talking like that. And I still talk to Nathan, just express gratitude to him. I'm so thankful. It's been my highest honor to be your wife. And I'm still going to fulfill the dreams that we had. I'm going to do it, me on this side, you on the other side of the veil. Let's keep doing it together. And I carry on that dialogue. And in doing so, and really purposing to do that, time has healed. Time doesn't do it just on its own. We have to participate in that.
More of a partnership, and you
Yeah.
have 12 beautiful children that you get to continue to enjoy, and grandchildren, and all these wonderful things coming, and I'm sure that all played into it as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think the thing that mostly helped with having all my children is that they needed me to lead them and to show that they were my motivation to do this well, to really, um, by me directing my mind and heart to gratitude rather than continual sorrow, that would lead them to do the same. And my youngest was 10 when Nathan died. And I knew that him in particular transitioning in this and losing his dad was going to be largely up to me and how I helped him process it.
Mhm.
And he's done so well. We just kept talking about his dad, and we'd laugh at the funny things that dad would say if he were here. And we had little symbols that showed us that dad was thinking of us. One of them was deer. Deer, I needed it personally to just know that Nathan wasn't gone and I was totally on my own. And I asked for a symbol. Please give me a symbol to know that you're going to walk me through this, on the other side of the veil where I can't see you, but you're close. And certain numbers became prominent. So um, there was one of the last pictures Nathan and I took is a clock in the background, and Valor noticed that the clock said it was 12:34, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I looked up the meaning of that number, and it's kind of shorthand in texting: one thing to say, 3 words for you: I love you. So whenever the clock would say 12:34, Valor might be in the kitchen and he'll shout to me, "Mom, it's 1, 2, 3, 4." And I'd shout back to him, "Dad's saying he loves us." So little
Mhm.
symbols like that to help him remember his dad, and to know that his dad is still aware of him and loves him. And I feel the same for myself too. But healing in life, like so many things, takes real intention on our part. We're so much looking for a savior, not knowing that the savior is looking at us in the mirror. We have Life has given us so many tools to save ourselves out of misery, out of anxiety, out of sorrow. Um, we just have to be diligent and disciplined in how we conduct our lives and not be so sloppy and kind of lazy, with our mind.
Mhm. Well, it's so powerful, and I think until people understand that and realize that you can get so distracted and caught up in your thoughts, especially the negative ones,
Yeah.
and it can become very overwhelming, and we see that with, I mean, 19% of Americans, according to the NIH, or consider themselves to have anxiety right now, so, I mean, that's not insignificant. That's
Yeah.
millions of Americans feeling this, so it's something that I think we have to be, just like you said, diligent about it and really think through. I have one last question I wanna ask you before we go, because I know you talk about this a lot on your platform, like natural beauty, because you are so beautiful, lovely. I know people always ask you about your skincare, so can you tell us kinda what you think your secret is to your beautiful skin?
Well, maybe it's I don't tend to worry so much. I do tend to be a person naturally given towards living in the moment, which helps. We're all going to get lines, I think, in our face, but we want them to be gentle lines,
Sure.
and lines that are the different lines in our face speak of different emotions. But I have been one to be really frugal. For most of my married life, I had to be, and it wasn't like a hard thing. It was the price I wanted to pay to help me be a stay-at-home mom. So to make it easy for Nathan to support us on a one-person income, I could be careful with my shopping habits and things like that. So the beauty products I'd use were pretty simple and basic, and I wanted to use pure ones, not ones, you look you look at lotions and makeup and things, you look at the long list of ingredients, and a lot of those ingredients are not good for your skin. So most of my adult life, I have not used foundation and things like that on my face. I try to let as much of my skin be free to just have the fresh air on it. I could have used a little more natural sunscreens, or just even a hat with a bill or something on my daily bike rides. I have a 16-mile bike ride. I go out in, and I get a lot of sun during the summertime. So I see some results of that. But otherwise, I use just plain, like I have a big aloe vera plant in my kitchen window, and take a slip of that and just open it up, and I just rub the raw juice on my face. You can buy sleeves of it at different stores have those. So I use that juice on my face in the morning, and then on the evening before I go to bed, to remove my makeup, I just use plain old coconut oil and put that on my face. And I have one of those Norwex makeup cloths that just you wash it off with water. So I don't use soap on my face. I use coconut oil for that. And for under my makeup, I do invest usually in some kind of just good natural daytime lotion that's not oily for wearing under makeup. So there are some things that I will invest a little more money in. But yeah, just really basic things. And since more companies have come out with natural cosmetics, I little by little start investing in some of those. Organic Bunny is one has a company that has a lot of good natural facial products and things.
Well, it's working. You look lovely. So excited to get to connect with you, Renee. Thank you so much for being here with us. So many important details that you put out there. I thank you. I know everyone who's watching thanks you. So go in peace.